Bear Wolf may be heading for a departure after he was taken away in handcuffs at the close of Friday's Emmerdale, having admitted to killing Ray Walters and reporting himself to the police. Upcoming spoilers hint that it could soon be farewell to Bear. For weeks, Paddy Dingle had been doing everything possible to keep Bear silent about Ray's death, but Bear finally cracked during his first therapy session. What could this mean for his future in the village? The reality of what happened to Ray has now come to light. Earlier in the week, Paddy decided that Bear needed professional counselling. He knew there was a danger Bear might confess to killing Ray, yet he felt there was no alternative. As the session got underway, it quickly became obvious that Paddy's concerns were well-founded. Bear was being tormented by thoughts of Ray, who seemed to dominate his every word. Initially, Bear defended his former employer, maintaining that Ray was a kind man who genuinely cared about him. He argued that Paddy didn't truly understand him, whereas Ray did. The counsellor then disclosed that she had also been trafficked, meaning she understood Bear's ordeal. This prompted Bear to open up further, but when the discussion turned to Anya, he began to crumble. Receiving compassion proved overwhelming for Bear. He suddenly confessed that he didn't deserve relief because he was a killer. He had taken Ray's life. Later, Paddy witnessed D.S. Walsh and the officers escorting Bear away in handcuffs. The counsellor explained that Bear had contacted the police himself and admitted everything. Is this the end of the road for Bear in Emmerdale after his confession about Ray? Next week, Bear becomes disoriented during police questioning. He appears distressed and struggles to give clear answers, though he maintains he acted alone, even claiming responsibility for moving Ray's body. However, a careless remark soon raises Walsh's suspicions. As she presses him for further details, Bear attempts to shield Paddy and Dylan by taking full responsibility, despite her doubts. Both men are also questioned and repeat the same account. Bear is ultimately charged with manslaughter. Paddy and the solicitor believe Bear may have a strong self-defense argument. However, Bear has no desire to fight the charge. He feels pleading guilty is the right and honourable course of action. Convinced he deserves punishment, Bear refuses to see himself as a victim. If he follows through with the guilty plea, he could be facing a prison sentence. Could this storyline be setting up Bear's exit? It seems unjust for the true victim to be the one who pays the price. Paddy is left devastated as he faces the possibility of prison in Emmerdale, and the situation keeps deteriorating. Last month, Paddy Kirk's world was turned upside down when his father, Bear, suddenly returned after being missing for several months. Bear had finally escaped the farm where he had been held as a modern-day captive by Celia Daniels and her son Ray Walters, making his way back home, only to witness Ray threatening Paddy and Dylan the moment he arrived. In a heart-wrenching and chaotic moment, a traumatized Bear acted instinctively to protect his son, fatally striking Ray, an action that has left Bear even more shattered as he struggles with overwhelming guilt on top of the abuse he endured while imprisoned on Celia's farm. Paddy and Dylan attempted to move Ray's body by placing it in one of the depot vans, intending to bury it later. Unfortunately, Jai accidentally drove off with the van, and the body was quickly discovered. Aware that he and Dylan are implicated in Ray's death, and knowing Bear is too fragile to cope with prison, Paddy has been frantically trying to control the situation, coaching his father on what to say if questioned by the police. Despite his guidance, Bear is too confused and riddled with guilt to maintain a consistent story, eventually breaking down under D.S. Walsh's interrogation and confessing to killing Ray. He claims he acted alone, though Walsh remains skeptical. The next day, during further questioning, Paddy repeatedly interrupts to support Bear's account, which only raises Walsh's suspicions about his involvement. She finds it hard to believe that Bear moved Ray's body entirely on his own, and Paddy begins to panic. His fears are justified when another officer arrives to bring Paddy and Dylan in for questioning regarding Ray's death. As Paddy struggles to protect himself, Bear is formally charged with manslaughter. His lawyer reassures Paddy that the court will consider Bear's experiences and his act of self-defense. Paddy clings to hope that his father might be granted bail and spared the trauma of custody. However, those hopes are crushed when Bear decides to do what he believes is the honourable thing by pleading guilty, which means he's likely heading to prison. If Paddy cannot convince the authorities that he had no role in Ray's death, he could soon be facing incarceration alongside his father. Emmerdale fans stunned as April Windsor's true age is revealed. Viewers of Emmerdale have been curious about April Windsor's age, following her intense storylines involving grooming and police investigations on the ITV soap. Portrayed by Amelia Flanagan, April Windsor is a well-loved character. But just how old is she really? April first appeared in 2014 as the daughter of Paddy Dingle and Donna Windsor, quickly becoming central to some of the soap's most dramatic plots. Her journey in the Dales has been far from simple, including the tragic loss of her mother and periods of homelessness. Recently, she became entangled in a dark world of crime, child exploitation, and drugs, manipulated by the sinister Ray Walters and his mother Celia Daniels. Thankfully, April eventually escaped the control of Ray Walters and Celia Daniels, though she has been living in fear of being sent to a young offenders institution after confessing to crimes she committed under their influence. In Thursday's episode of Emmerdale, D.S. Walsh visited April to deliver the official verdict, confirming she was no longer under investigation, much to her relief. Given her involvement in such dramatic storylines, fans have also been curious about her age. The character is currently 16, born on the 13th August 2009, while actress Amelia Flanagan is 17, and will celebrate her 18th birthday on the 6th June. When Amelia turned 17 last year, fans were surprised, with comments praising her talent and noting she seemed younger. Outside of the soap, Amelia has been cast in the upcoming film The Rebooted, alongside Gerard Christopher Superboy, Andrew Lee Potts Primeval, Martin Zimhangby Bridgerton, and others, as announced by Pancharia Brothers Productions on Instagram. Kane Dingle's world crumbles in Emmerdale, and Ruby Milligan is at the centre. Kane Dingle's life is in tatters, and Ruby Milligan plays a major part in it. Already battling cancer without his wife by his side, Kane now faces a crushing new blow. It all began with a simple ribbon. Beowulf had mentioned to Ruby that it could lead him to Anya. Ruby tracked it down, unintentionally uncovering the final resting places of Anya and Celia Daniels. This allowed Celia's plan to frame Moira to succeed, as Anya's body was found wrapped in a blanket containing Moira's DNA. When Kane discovers this, he is devastated. While Ruby hadn't realized she was on Moira's land until D.S. Walsh pointed it out, the consequences are severe. Moira suffers in prison for crimes she didn't commit, and Kane is left emotionally shattered. Actor Jeff Hordley says the old, tough Kane is gone, replaced by a more vulnerable version. Kane blames Ruby and Caleb Milligan, believing the situation was deliberate. He feels he can trust no one, not even his brother, and keeps his cancer secret even more closely. Only Sarah knows the truth and urges him not to push everyone away, but Kane may be too far gone to listen. Emmerdale airs Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and ITVX.